It's been almost 6 months since we moved from Sweden to France, a big change for us in more ways than one. Since then, we've been learning to navigate a whole new set of challenges, balancing everyday life with everything that comes with starting fresh in a new country. This week's project is all about expanding what's possible for us, growing more of our own food, and extending the growing season by just a few extra weeks on either end. After searching for a second-hand polytunnel without success, we finally decided to invest in a new one. It felt like a big decision, especially since neither of us had any experience with polytunnels before. But after lots of reading, plenty of research and advice from others, we were ready to take the leap. So here we are, about to build our very first polytunnel. In our garden, we've chosen to follow a no-dig and no-till approach. That means we build our beds directly on top of the grass without harming the soil or disturbing the ecosystem beneath.
Alright, now it's time to collect all the oak branches to make some wood chips for the paths in the greenhouse that just arrived.
Instead of digging, we work with nature, layering organic materials on top and letting everything break down gradually, just as it would in the wild. So the first step for this project was to prepare the ground where the polytunnel will stand. Last week we had some help with our lovely donkeys to keep the grass down, and now it's time to finish the job with the actual lawnmower. The second step is gathering all the branches scattered around the garden, especially after the recent storm, and turning them into wood chips. These will be used to create pathways between our beds. The polytunnel, 16 meters long and 6 meters wide, arrived in 4 large boxes, which can only mean one thing: we've got a lot of assembling ahead of us. The wood chips not only help us make use of what we already have, but it also keeps the paths tidy, suppresses weeds, and slowly break down over time, adding organic matter back into the soil. Branch by branch, the pile keeps growing, and we can only hope it will be enough to cover the entire polytunnel. Just as things seemed to be moving along nicely, we hit an unexpected turn. The truck carrying our soil finally arrived. We had ordered a mix of topsoil and compost a few days earlier, and it showed up right on time. We were excited, and this felt like a big step forward. But then, something we didn't see coming happened. The driver decided he wouldn't drive onto the land worried he might get stuck. Instead, he dumped all 12 tons of soil right at the entrance, completely blocking it. Suddenly, we couldn't get the tractor out, and we wouldn't even close the gate properly to keep the donkeys in. Our excitement quickly turned into frustration. What we thought would move the project forward instantly added a whole new layer of work. And the most frustrating part? To us, it was pretty clear the truck would have been just fine, but the driver had already made up his mind. This is how we got our 12 tons of soil received. Straight at the entrance. 12 tons. That was quite bad. This is the road, just for reference. And this is our soil. This is the entrance to this land. That was highly inconvenient. Gisli didn't waste any time. He took on the task right away and started moving the soil to a more suitable spot. Two days later, after a long stretch of rain, all the materials were finally in place and we were ready to start building.
Now we're ready to start assembling, or at least we're gonna start with. My parents are gonna be assembling the arches, and I'm gonna start with marking out exactly where the polytunnel will be, and then I'll bring the digger to dig up each hole. I've managed to make it square and true and to the right dimensions for the string all around. And now I'm just gonna mark out where I'm gonna dig and get to it. Nice, Cisco.
The ones who seemed to enjoy the show the most without lifting a single muscle were our donkeys Cisco and Saxo. Assembling the polytunnel was a slow process at first. It took some time to figure out which screws went where and which pieces connected to each other, but piece by piece it gradually became faster and a lot easier.
So this one is here. Var sätter jag ner?
Next, it was time for the digger to create the holes where the polytunnel would be anchored. This will help it make more stable and hopefully strong enough to withstand any storms that come our way. Once the holes were ready, we could start putting up the frame. The string we had set up at the very beginning served as our guide for positioning everything correctly. Even so, we had to make a few small adjustments here and there to ensure everything fit perfectly.
needs gloves. Alright, we're stopping here on day 2. Only 2 frames left to put up. And then probably all of the hard work, putting the plastic on and building the doors and so on. Donkeys are enjoying everything the neighbors brought. They had to trim their olive trees and gave us all the cuttings.
The frame was in place, but the most challenging part was still ahead. Now it's time to install the support bars and of course to carefully cut and fit the plastic cover over the entire polytunnel later.
Stjórnast alltaf hvað hægt langt hérna stjórnast þessu langt þetta. Það fer þetta ekki alveg upp á henni eftir á.
Sko, þetta teikningin það meira ekstra hérna.
This polytunnel feels like a dream come true. We've always been passionate about growing our own food, not just to eat healthy and provide nutritious, clean meals for our family, but also to share with friends. Watching this structure take shape day by day fills us with joy, knowing that soon our tomatoes will have a safe place to shelter from the late spring frost. This polytunnel marks a new chapter in our lives, one full of possibilities for growing our own food and becoming more self-sufficient. There are still many steps ahead and plenty more to do to build the life we've been dreaming of. But every part of this process brings us joy, and just being here, doing what we love, already feels incredibly fulfilling. For now, we'll say goodbye, but make sure to stick around and see what the polytunnel gets up to next week.